Good evening from the Berlin Philharmonic on the Sunday, September 11th, 2011. In just a few moments, we will have the pleasure of hearing one of America's greatest symphony orchestras, the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra, conducted by Manfred Honeck. This concert will be streamed around the world, and the musicians and conductor Manfred Honeck have chosen Mahler's Fifth Symphony as commemoration of the 10th anniversary of the terroristic attacks of 9/11, and of course, memory of the victims of that day. Before we begin, it's an honor to exchange a few words with conductor Manfred Honeck. Welcome, Mr. Honeck, here in Berlin.
Thank you.
I think we all carry with us the feelings, the images, the emotions as we witnessed the terroristic attacks of 9/11. Let me ask you as a musician, what musical expression, what music, what sounds comes to your mind when you think back to that tragic day?
Well, if you're connected with something which is very deep in your heart, you will always, in whole life, have this sound in your mind, in your head. In the time when these terroristic attacks happened, I was in Sweden and I was rehearsing Handel Concerto Grosso and Vivaldi's music. A most pleasurable, lively and light music, and you can imagine we didn't understand at that time what is really the background, but still you have this pureness from the other world, this cleanness. This is very simple music, and later on, of course, we understood. And still, I have this Vivaldi Four Seasons in my mind, and I must say,
it's a very hard contrast, right?
Definitely, definitely a contrast. The message exploded into my world in the most beautiful moments when we do music. It's dark and light, I would say.
And the Mahler Symphony starts with a very dark funeral march. As music listeners, music lovers, we are especially extremely susceptible to the power and magic of music in moments of fear, of sorrow, of pain, of violence. As a musician, does it have the same effect on you?
Definitely. I must say, music has an extremely power. It can bring you in another world, and we know that Gustav Mahler was very interested in the questions of the sense of a life, and you feel it in every moment. He understood the life in the world. He understood also what could happen, what kind of luck and happiness it could happen after the death. So this is actually, for me, his main theme. Now, he described musically the world here on earth. So when you experience the first movement of a funeral march, he experienced it himself in his time as a child in the former Austria, in the Czechia, where he was born. And he felt this sadness, he felt this tragic, he felt all this, what the people did after funeral, but on the other hand, he gave also hope. There are a lot of wonderful moments in Mahler's music where you feel that's more than happiness. It's just a real heavenly happiness. And I think this makes Mahler, for me personally, for one of the most important composer. And when I conduct this Mahler's music, everything goes deep in my body. And the sound is
deep in your body. Let me ask you, Mr. Honeck, can you bring your very personal, private emotions, such as fear, as pain, as sorrow, while performing live on stage, for example, in the funeral march?
Definitely. You have to be, as a conductor, and as well as an orchestra, in the mood of a funeral march. You have to understand the story behind. And it's just not only playing the notes. And when you... Of course, you should have not fear, as you should not show it, but the inner feeling, the inner atmosphere, and the inner attitude is so important that we understand there is something deep in my soul. You cannot play this music and be happy. It's impossible. You know, it's not a circus music. It's not a music for wedding. It's a music in a moment where you understand the sadness and the dimension of a tragic event. And I think that the 11th of September, this anniversary, especially in the first movement, but also probably in the Adagietto, it brings us probably to tears, and we will be very deep into in connection with the victims of this tragic terror.
So we will have really moments of sadness tonight.
Definitely.
Are you feeling sad while conducting?
I try to be connected with the music, and if the music asks for sadness, I like to share this atmosphere. People, and especially the musician, should feel in which kind of mood they have to play. And if we, the orchestra, and me, are together in the same mood, I'm sure that the audience will take part in this. So I think we will not keep back this sadness. No, I'm sure that we are strongly into this especially event for us.
Talking about audience, Mr. Honeck, ideally what effect can or should Mahler's Fifth Symphony have on the audience?
They should experience how dark a life can be, but they should also experience hope and how happy and how heavenly humans can be. And may I say this in this way, all what Mahler describes in his world, through his music, we experience as humans in this world. And you can imagine that, that this hatred which came out of this terror attack, where we people in our society don't understand what is in the head of these people, what is going on. Is hate more important than love? And I think it is, for me personally, and also for the orchestra, especially an American orchestra, in this moment, important to answer hatred with love. Therefore, the Adagietto, for example, Mahler wrote this Adagietto for his wife Alma. He fell in love. This was one of the most luckiest time in his life. He had an extremely happy time in the Wiener Staatsoper.
He was director at that moment.
He was a director in that moment, but he had also got to know Alma, and he had around this time also married. So, and he dedicated this Adagietto to her. And I would say it's a love song. And I personally, I'm completely with the victims of this terror attack. And also I'm completely with our society to say love is more important than hate.
So
and
would you say there's a political dimension in this music?
Definitely. Definitely. It's a social and a political dimension. And music is one of the language everybody in the world understands. And especially classic music can you lead and guide you through the whole world, that you can experience something which is much more important than hate, much more important than you experience a bad experience in the world. And I think this is a message we all have to know. We have to stand together. We have in these moments, we love you. We are together. All America is united with Europe. And I think this is a wonderful thing that we know that we don't give up. Music is bringing you to another dimension of the world. Music brings you to love. Music brings you to understand each other. We are friends of love.
After 9/11, we are forced to think about our values, our so-called Western values of our so-called Western civilization. We talk about democracy, civil rights, freedom of expression, etc., etc. Shouldn't we talk much more in this context, in this discussion about values, shouldn't we talk much more about our cultural heritage, our musical, our cultural tradition?
What happened in the music history, it started in Europe very organically. Music, like we hear today, is very young, actually. We start with the Gregorianic chants. The church took care of the music, and then it took the aristocrats, and then the state. Now a lot of wonderful people take care of music, but they take care of music because not only it is music, because it's our history. It's a treasure to keep that on. And I personally would like to find ourselves more to keep that, to know. If you lose music, you lose also the contact with our history. If you lose music and our culture, you lose also the contact with democracy. And I think we have to identify ourselves much more with our culture to protect ourselves in this way, because what we have now earned in this time, of course, we know the 20th century was one of the most brutal centuries in the history of the humans, but we have also now had a long period of peace, and we believe in humans. We believe in the Western part. We believe in love. We believe that our way of life is a great life because it brings us freedom. But let's us use the freedom to keep that, and to fight against every element which want to attack our freedom.
Mahler wrote this Fifth Symphony almost exactly 100 years before the terroristic attacks of 9/11. And he wrote himself about his symphony, I quote, "It is chaos which gives constantly birth to a new world only to destroy it a few moments later." Was Mahler maybe, unknowingly of course, composing the soundtrack to the events we've experienced the last 10 years?
Mahler's music is still modern. We understand what he meant to be and what he wanted to do with his music. He understood that to destroy something, it's in a human gene, but it is also extremely important, and that's the message of Gustav Mahler. Never give up. We always go away. To the heaven. It's everybody of us. We have another world to expect. And I think Mahler's music, as we understand, is going so deep into our soul that it is indeed can be connected to every part of our life. It is wedding, or is it tragic terror things, or love, or passion. Everything is integrated in Mahler's music. And Mahler's Fifth Symphony special, he said that he also took another way of composing. He passed away actually his 4 symphonies. Of course, you cannot neglect this his previous symphonies. There is still a world of Wunderhorn here. But with Fifth Symphony, he goes a little bit.
It's a new chapter, right?
A new chapter, a new way, a new dimension of darkness, which you have probably not expected before in the other symphonies. A new dimension of heaviness, and I think that makes him so special because he understands what is coming. He didn't know that there will be a First World War. He didn't know there will be a Second World War. He didn't know there will be an attack in the 11th of September, but he knew what humans can do with this world on both sides, in both extremes.
And now we are very eager to hear this musical message in Gustav Mahler's Fifth Symphony with the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra conducted by Manfred Honeck. Again, this concert, this live stream is dedicated to all the victims of the terroristic attacks. Thank you very much, Manfred Honeck, of sharing your ideas and thoughts with us tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.